In this video, I will talk about quartiles and boxplots. So we can visualize the distribution of the values for a numerical variable by computing the quartiles, the 5-number summary, and constructing a boxplot. So let's discuss quartiles. Quartiles split the ranked data into 4 segments with an equal number of values per segment. So the first quartile, which is called Q1, is the value for which 25% of the values are smaller and 75% are larger. So if you look at this photo, you have Q1. As you can see, 25% are below Q1 and then 75%. When you add up the three 25%, that's 75%. Those are above the Q1. The median is also a quartile that's called quartile 2, and this splits the data in half. So you'll have 50% of the values above and below the median. And then Q3, which is the third quartile, will have 25% of the values greater than that value and then 75% below. So I'm going to show you how to calculate quartiles by hand. And then I'll show you how to do it in StatCrunch and then Excel. I'll do that at the end. Quartiles can be a little tricky because different statistical program software, they have different algorithms to calculate quartiles. So the numbers might be off, not too far off, but they'll be off depending on what program you use. So with a StatCrunch and with your homework, I would advise that you use the StatCrunch numbers, and you'll see in a minute. So to do this by hand, what you have to do first is locate the median, and the median is the middle value, so that this will be the median. To figure out Q1, you look at the values below the overall median. So make sure your numbers are in numerical order. As you can see, this is an ordered array. So this is the median, 16. I'm going to look at the values below this 16 to calculate Q1. So what you do is the data values below the overall median, you're going to calculate the median of those data values. So if I'm looking just at these numbers here, I need to figure out what's the middle value. So since we have an even number of data values, we're going to have to take the average of the middle two numbers. And that's what I have here for Q1. So I'll take 12 plus 13, divide by 2, and my Q1 will be 12.5. To figure out Q3, I look at all the data values that come after the overall median of 16, and then I find the median of those data values. So once again, I have an even number of data values, so I need to take the average of the middle two numbers, and that would be the 18 plus the 21 divided by 2, you get 19.5. Okay, Q1 and Q3 are measures of non-central location, whereas the median is the measure of central tendency. Alright, so now that we've calculated the quartiles, we can also calculate the IQR. The IQR is calculated as the third quartile minus the first quartile, and this measures the spread in the middle 50% of the data. The IQR is also called the mid-spread because it covers the middle 50% of the data. The IQR is a measure of variability that is not influenced by outliers or extreme values. Measures like Q1, Q3, and IQR are not influenced by outliers and are called resistant measures. So now that we know how to calculate those values, we can come up with a 5-number summary. And a 5-number summary helps describe the center, the spread, and the shape of the data. The 5-number summary consists of the smallest number and the largest number in your data set. And then you have your first and third quartile as well as your median. So from the 5-number summary, we can construct a box plot. And the box plot is made up of these 5 numbers. So this particular box plot is a symmetric. So sometimes your box plot would not look like this, but this is symmetric. As you can see, the median is right in the middle. And these lines that extend out to the smallest and largest number, we call these whiskers. Okay. The Q1 and the Q3 are the ends of the actual box, and then from there you extend out to the smallest and largest numbers. A box plot can be vertical or horizontal. And this is a horizontal. When you do it in StatCrunch or Excel, they tend to be vertical. And you'll see that in a few minutes. So you can figure out the distribution of a data set based off your box plot. If you look at this first one, this is left skewed. As you can see, your tail, your left tail, it extends out longer than your right tail. Okay, and then the median is more towards the right of the box. The middle one is symmetric, is as you can see, it looks like the tails extend, or the whiskers I should say, extend evenly to the lowest and highest values, and the median is right directly in the middle. And then the right skewed, as you can see, your tail or your whisker extends out further to the right, and your median is more towards the left of the box. So this is an example of a box plot that is skewed. And if you look at the numbers, you have a very large number of 27, so that might be considered an outlier, as it's far away from the rest of the data values. So when you do your whisker, it extends all the way out to 27. So this is considered right skewed. So I'm going to show you how to do these in StatCrunch and Excel. For homework purposes, I would suggest that you use StatCrunch because those numbers will likely match up to the answers. Excel, you might get lucky and get the correct answers, but Excel uses a different algorithm. So let's go ahead and do this example that we did before. And like I said, we did this by hand. Let me go ahead and do it in StatCrunch. So I have my data values in the first column. And I'm going to go, and there's different ways you can do this. So I'll show you how to do the summary stats. And you go to columns, you go to stats, summary stat, columns, and then I'm going to do example 1. You can click on the numbers that you want to calculate. So, and we've done this before. I want the median, so I'll click on that, and then I hit the control button, and then I want Q1, Q3. I'll do the IQR, and that's it. So you can do the minimum and the maximum if you want. So this is your 5-number summary. It gives you the smallest, the largest, Q1, Q3, and the median. And the IQR is not part of the 5-number summary, but you can get it to calculate it. But as you can see, these quartiles are a little different than when we did it by hand. They got 13 and 18. And when we did it by hand, we got 12.5 and 19.5. Okay, so I know I said to use StatCrunch because it's accurate. It's accurate in terms of the homework problems. Okay, now you may get lucky and well, let me go back. You may get lucky with Excel, but I'll show Excel in a minute. Another way you can do this is with a box plot. So you go to Graph, Box Plot, Example 1, and then I hit Compute, and it gives you your box plot. And if you take your mouse and hover over the box plot, the numbers will come up. So you see you have your upper limit, lower limit, Q1, Q3, and the median. Okay. So that's one way of doing it, and this is the vertical box plot. And there's no way you can like twist it to the side, but I guess you can tilt your head to the left, and you can see, whether or not it's skewed or symmetric. Okay. So to do this in Excel, Excel has different quartile commands, and they calculate differently. So what I do here is I'm going to go ahead and make a box plot with these numbers. So I have the numbers in column A. What you're going to do is you're going to go to insert and you're going to go to this histogram and you'll see box and whisker. Okay, so you click on that, it'll make you a box plot. So if you just want to get the general shape of the box plot, you can use Excel. I'm going to go ahead and see what the data values are. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to make it clear. I don't want it to be blue. And then I'm going to click on this and I want the plus sign, I want data labels. And it'll put the numbers on the box plot. So as you can see, you got your lowest is 11 and your highest is 22. But we got lucky here because the quartiles is what we calculated when we did it by hand. We got 12.5 and 19.5. So this is just by chance. Like I said, we got lucky with this. Okay, but let's look at another data set. Let's see. Go to StatCrunch. And this data set is one that I actually took from a problem in your homework. Okay, similar to the problem in your homework. So in this one example 2, let's go ahead and do a box plot. Okay, I want example 2 and I hit compute and it gives me the box plot. And when I take my mouse and put it over it, I get my information. Now this information here on this box plot matches up to the answers on that particular homework problem. So I would go ahead and use StatCrunch because as you can see, Q1 is 2.65 and your Q3 is 3.89. But let's go ahead and do this in Excel. Go ahead and delete this out. So I got my data values in column C. And I go to insert and I go to box and whiskers. So I get my box plot. I'm going to go ahead and put the data values on there. And let me make it bigger. And now if you look here, the data value, the Q1 and the Q3 are totally different. The Q1 is 2.62 and the Q3 is 4.165. So those are a little bit off from what StatCrunch calculated. So if you use Excel for the homework, your answers may be off, and then if you input it into the homework, it'll mark it wrong. So that's why I always advise to use StatCrunch. Now, of course, when you go into the real world and you're working with data, you can go ahead and use Excel. I'm not saying that Excel's calculations are incorrect. I'm just saying that they use a different algorithm.